The 2024 NFL season is right around the corner, but not every team is going to live up to the hype. Here are 5 teams I think are going to disappoint and piss off a lot of fan bases this year. Let's get it. As we all know, the NFL is a moneymaker. You know how it really makes its money? It's not jerseys, it's not tickets. It makes money off of selling hope. Every year, you think your team is going to run to the Super Bowl. They think, this is my year. Trust me, I've been there. But in reality, that's probably not gonna happen. There's only one winner, and a lot of these teams fall short due to lackluster rosters, unlucky injuries, and just balls bouncing in the wrong way. It's a game of inches and a lot of things can go wrong. So we're gonna take a look at the 5 teams where I think that might happen. So how did the Baltimore Ravens offseason really go? I mean, they lost a lot of players. Listen to this list. They lost Patrick Queen to a division rival, Kevin Zeitler, John Simpson, Morgan Moses, Jadeveon Clowney, Geno Stone, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, OBJ, and Tyler Huntley. And like I said, their only notable signing was a 30-year-old Derrick Henry, which, don't get me wrong, I would love Derrick Henry on my team, but it's not like you backfilled a lot of those players you lost. I like how Baltimore drafted this year. They took Nate Wiggins, the corner, in the first round, then Roger Rosengarten, and then they finished it up with the defensive end Ideza Isaac from Penn State. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a great draft, but these are rookies and they got big shoes to fill. So Baltimore is looking a little bleak. They got to replace 3 offensive linemen on their line. They lost a 9+ sack player in Jadeveon Clowney, and Geno Stone last year went crazy in the secondary with all those turnovers. All 3 of those players, poof, gone. Not only that, they still have a weak receiving corps. Who is it? Rashad Bateman as wide receiver 2, Nelson Aguilar as wide receiver 3. Look, I know, Ravens really never had a strong wide receiver group, but how does it keep getting worse? Hollywood Brown's out and he's on Kansas City now. It just seems like are they ever gonna have decent weapons for Lamar? I don't get it. The Baltimore Ravens are still a strong team. I mean, at the end of the day, they are contenders. But if you couldn't make the Super Bowl last year, how do I expect you to make the Super Bowl this year with the even more depleted roster? I mean, everybody left. So because of that, I'm sorry, Ravens fans. You're probably gonna be pissed off when it comes near January. Does anyone remember how dominant the Cowboys line used to be? Like back in 2016, it felt like they had all pros across the line. Well, that may not be the case anymore. The Cowboys were once known for having the best offensive line in football. That included Tyron Smith, Leo Collins, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, and Doug Free. That line was a fortress, allowing for rookie Ezekiel Elliott to run for 1,600 yards. It's crazy. But you fast forward to 2024, that's no longer the case. See, the line is still good, but it's not that great. And really, that's just the analogy of the Cowboys. That's why they always make it to the playoffs, but never make it past the first round. You're good, but never great. Sorry, Cowboys fans. Now, the line still has Zach Martin, but that's basically it. You got Zach Martin, Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Brock Hoffman, and Terrence Steele. Again, it's good, but it's not great. Along with that, you lost major key pieces like Tony Pollard, Tyron Smith, Stephon Gilmore, Jonathan Hankins, and Michael Gallup. And I don't know about you, I'm just not excited that Ezekiel Elliott's back on the team. This is not the Ezekiel Elliott of 2016 through 2018. This is why Ezekiel Elliott has bounced around on teams. He's just not that guy anymore. But you know what? The offensive line and the running back room, that's not even the biggest of my concerns. You still have to pay 3 of your best players on your team. Let's start with the quarterback, Dak Prescott, on his last year of his deal. Is he gonna play it out? Are they gonna pay him? Is he gonna actually go past the first round of the playoffs? Who knows? Honestly, I think this is going to be his last year on the Cowboys. And then right now you're dealing with CeeDee Lamb, who's beefing with your GM, Jerry Jones, on reports that are coming out because you guys somehow can't come to a deal. This is the best player on your team, and for some reason you can't pay the man. Makes no sense. And if you want to flip to the other side, someone's knocking on the door to get paid too, and that's Micah Parsons. So if you can't get CD paid, you're definitely not getting Micah paid. So Jerry Jones and company, you got to figure it out. So knowing that this offensive line just isn't as good as it used to be, and the fact that for some reason your GM doesn't want to play your best players, I think the Cowboys are set up for another season. I don't know, it just seems like you guys have been cursed since the 90s and it's gonna continue that way. So sorry Cowboy fans again, buckle up for a bumpy season. Is the Jacksonville Jaguars 2024 season already in jeopardy? Starting with off the field issues with your kicker McManus, who's dealt with some crazy allegations. You got weed and alcohol on the plane. He's got some sexual misconduct with multiple women. Like, it is not a good look. Now you may say, well, that's off the field issues. That doesn't have anything to do with the roster. Maybe true, but as a fan of a team that has had off the field issues, it does trickle down into the core of the team. See, on the field, the Jaguars actually had a decent offseason. Their additions include Eric Armstead, Gabe Davis, Mitch Morse, and they traded for, well, Mac Jones. I don't know if that's much of an addition, but he's on the squad. You also drafted one of my favorite prospects in this past NFL draft in Brian Thomas Jr., the speedster out of LSU. Now, it wasn't only but positives this offseason. You obviously lost two big weapons in Zay Jones and Calvin Ridley for Trevor Lawrence, right? Now, like I said, I do like Brian Thomas, but that's a rookie and he's got big shoes to fill. But the biggest issue with the Jacksonville Jaguars is that they just didn't keep up with their AFC South rivals. I mean, it's tough when your rivals, Texans and Titans, made significantly better moves all across the board this offseason. So because of that, the AFC is going to be a tough uphill battle for the Jacksonville Jaguars to climb. So overall, the Jaguars had a decent offseason. The problem is they just didn't separate themselves like the Titans and the Texans did in their own division. Adding on McManus and his legal distractions to the team, I just feel like the Jaguars are going to underperform this year. Sorry, Jacksonville. So how did the Chargers offseason really go, and what do we expect from this team that has underperformed the past couple of seasons? Now, the Chargers kind of had a turbulent offseason, which all their moves didn't inspire confidence. So the Chargers hired Jim Harbaugh as a coach, which I personally like, but a lot of fans feel divided about it, right? He is older in age, but he does win wherever he goes. But one of the most concerning moves he did was bring in Greg Roman, a run-focused first coordinator for Justin Herbert. Speaking of Justin Herbert, who the is he gonna throw to? Because he has no wide receivers other than second-year Quinton Johnson, who did not have a good year last year. Mike Williams left and went to the Jets. Keenan Allen went to my Bears. Thank you for that one. So really, who the is Herbert gonna throw to? Not only that, you release your veteran Austin Eckler and replace him with two injury-prone running backs, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, both from the Ravens, right? So you do that, you no longer have an elite wide receiver group, and you decide to, I'd say, misallocate resources by keeping aging players like Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. Now, Khalil had a decent year last year, but it's like these guys are getting up in age and costing you so much money. I mean, there's a reason why the Chargers were in cap hell last year. Now, the draft, I think, had fans divided because in the first round, the Chargers took the dominant tackle, Joe Alt. Personally, I like the pick, especially in a Jim Harbaugh offense that is very run focused. It's great to have a dominant mauler like Joe Alt is. But you know who was on the board at that time? Malik Neighbors, who's been lighting up training camp. I mean, I feel like it's all the clips I see on Twitter right now are Neighbors. So you had the opportunity to fill the wide receiver room, which we just talked about has nobody in it, but instead you end up going with the line. Not the sexiest pick, but I think it could really help this team be a core foundational piece. Overall though, I just don't feel like the Chargers did enough. And you're also still in cap hell, in my opinion, dealing with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. Obviously you reworked their contracts, but they're still getting paid a ton. So if they aren't really performing this year, right, and not injury prone like they have been in the past, you're kind of fucked over there. And then like I said, who is Justin Herbert throwing the ball to? Good luck, Quinton Johnson, and also good luck, Chargers fans. Now, could the Jets be a sleeping contender in the AFC? Now, I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this one, for putting the Jets on there, because really, they had a pretty decent offseason, right? They addressed all their key needs. It's really about Aaron Rodgers. Right? Are you going to get one play like you did last year with the famous run out meme with him and the flag? Or are you going to have a full season? Because if you get a full season of Aaron Rodgers, they really have a chance to be contenders in this league. I mean, they had a dominant defense last year with Zach Wilson, and that's why they went 7-10, because they had Zach Wilson. I don't blame you for that. Another weakness with this Jets team was their offensive line, and they made major upgrades with Tyron Smith, John Simpson, Morgan Moses, Alamua Fashanu. I mean, that is so much better protection. Also, the wide receiver group was basically just Garrett Wilson, and they seem to improve there too by drafting Malachi Corley and adding Mike Williams from the Chargers. Now, their defense was already pretty stacked last year, and they just got Hassan Riddick, but the problem is he wants to be traded, but the Jets aren't going to trade him. I don't know if I've ever seen that. You trade for a player that wants to be traded immediately because you can't get the deal done. Like, that makes no sense, but that's the Jets. So you're probably wondering, why the Jets on here if they had such a pretty good offseason? Well, let's put it this way. You have an aging quarterback, pretty old quarterback, who just tore his ACL and is probably high as hell on ayahuasca as we speak. So there is a lot of weight on his shoulders. If he is able to play the full season, the Jets really do have a chance. I just don't feel like it's gonna happen. I just don't. I just feel like it is not going to happen, and you guys can come with me in the comments. Jet fan, I totally understand it if you want to throw daggers at me in the comments, but there's just a lot of weight for one thing. One thing has to go right. We'll have to wait and see. We just haven't seen it yet. So those are my 5 teams that are most likely gonna disappoint and a lot of fan bases this year. If your team made it on this list, I am so sorry. As a fan of a team that's disappointed me for decades, I totally understand. If you disagree, please let me know in the comments. And if you like this content and you like this video, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, and go ahead and hit that notification bell so you can get notified as soon as my next videos drop. Again, if you like the video, appreciate it. I got new videos dropping every week, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.